my cutest little champions. I hope that you are doing as wonderful as you all are, and I welcome you all to day 11 of scoring 99% in 99 days. Today I will be finishing off this chapter, that is life processes. You know that basically we have started this chapter from previous Friday, so I explained each and every process in detail. Now in this particular session I have not included big questions, okay, which would be difficult for you. It's just the easy question, a compilation of all the easy questions that I could possibly find. Okay, now the difficult question or the trickier questions would be given on Sunday when I'll be giving you the mock test. Okay, so you can expect them there. This video would be for you to analyze your preparation. Are you able to solve these simple questions? If not, then what are the areas that you should be working on? You should be able to analyze that with the help of this particular video, and I promise you I won't be taking it more than 30 minutes. I have not included so many questions as well, just for you to practice. So let's begin this battle, children. Over here, let's see how many questions are we going to do from each type of question. So for MCQ, we are going to do 10 questions. 2-marker questions, there will be 3 of them. 3-marker question, there will be 2 of them. Case study based question, and 5-marker question, there will be 1 each. Okay, so let's get ready for the battle. The first question from MCQ is this. A sportsman, after a long break of his routine exercise, suffered muscular cramps during a heavy exercise session. This happened due to, so sportsman, no, basically he is suffering from muscular cramps. After what? During a heavy exercise session. Why do you think this might have happened? So you know very well that muscle cramp is a result of what? Is a result of accumulation of something which is known as lactic acid. And when does lactic acid accumulate in the muscle cell, children? When there is anaerobic respiration going on. Anaerobic respiration means in the absence of oxygen, respiration has still to take place, because you want ATP molecules. So this point of time our body shifts to something that is known as anaerobic respiration. When does it shift? When there is an absence of oxygen. Okay, so for example, we were doing exercise at one point, obviously our oxygen, everything will be utilized in way too much amount. Okay, so basically when it is used up, as of now when I'm running, I'll get tired. Why? Because I'm utilizing the oxygen that I'm taking in. At one point I will be deficient in oxygen. There will be absence of oxygen. That's when my body will be shifting from aerobic condition to anaerobic condition. Now when this shift happens, my dear children, okay, what is the thing that will be happening inside the body? So usually glucose gets into pyruvate, and this pyruvate will be undergoing aerobic respiration inside the mitochondria. But this time in anaerobic respiration, this pyruvate will be converting itself into lactic acid as well as ATP. Now lactic acid, this when it is produced, it will be causing the muscle cramp. So what is the correct answer? Lack of carbon dioxide and formation of pyruvate. Presence of oxygen, no children, presence of oxygen cannot be there, and carbon dioxide have no role to play over here. Lack of oxygen and formation of lactic acid, yes, there is lack of oxygen, that is absence of oxygen, which is why our body shifting to anaerobic respiration, which is why the pyruvate, instead of getting into mitochondria and doing aerobic respiration, it is directly converting into lactic acid plus ATP, because I just want ready source of ATP now. I do not want to undergo aerobic respiration and wait for too long. But the problem is that there is a byproduct that is being formed, and that is what? Lactic acid, which we do not want. This lactic acid is the one that causes muscle cramps. So your answer becomes this. Okay, this is sample question paper 2023-24 question. Cool? Let's go ahead, get ahead with the next question. Observe the experimental setup shown below. Name the chemical indicated as X that can absorb the gas which is evolved as a byproduct of respiration. So what? Okay, so the question says you have to find X, which is here, and this X, no, it is responsible for something. It is responsible for absorbing a gas which is a byproduct of what? Respiration. So in respiration, what could be the byproduct, children? In respiration, I know that oxygen is being utilized. You saw right here that there is oxygen, aerobic respiration takes place. No, oxygen is being utilized, pyruvate converts to something and it undergoes aerobic respiration. Where over here you will be getting a byproduct as CO2. This is the gas that is being produced, which is why we say we take in oxygen and this oxygen is utilized for ATP formation. But as a byproduct, what do we get? CO2, and this CO2 moves out when we breathe out. So basically in respiration plants also, they are also giving out CO2. Okay, so what is this X which is absorbing a gas? What is this gas, children? CO2. So what is the X that is absorbing CO2, children? It is potassium hydroxide. What is it, children? It is potassium hydroxide. This is the one that absorbs the CO2. Now if CO2 is absorbed, my dear children, if CO2 is absorbed, what will happen? Without CO2, do you think, for example, this is a ball jar and light is over here. So light is present, water is given already to the plant, everything is there. But the CO2 which is released during respiration is taken up by this guy. Then do you think photosynthesis can happen? Because photosynthesis definitely needs CO2 as well. CO2 plus H2O in the presence of light and chlorophyll gives C6H12OC, that is glucose. So here one more thing won't be happening, that is photosynthesis would not be taking place, okay, because of this guy, that is potassium hydroxide. Cool, works. Next question. Opening and closing of stomatal pore depends on what? So opening and closing of stomatal pore, basically if this is a stomatal pore, suppose it is guarded by something that is known as the guard cells. Okay, when the guard cells basically they swell up, they have an opening like this, which is when we say that the stomata is open. Okay, so over here what is happening to the guard cell? The guard cell is swollen, or I can say it's in a turgid state. Okay, this is when the stomata or the stomatal pore is open. Fine. Now the next thing, when does the stomatal pore close? When does the stomatal pore close? Basically, why was it opening? That was the question. Why was it getting swollen, children? It was getting swollen because water moved inside the guard cells, which is why it was getting swollen. Now, when the same water moves outside, what will happen? Basically, the stomatal pore closes. When does that happen? When the water is moving out. Water moves out. Okay, here water moves in. Okay, just to avoid confusion, I'll erase this. And one more thing. What is the state, children, over here? It has lost the water. It has lost the water. It is plasmolized over here. Okay, so even if you do not mention about the state, at least know this fact that water, when it moves out, that's when the guard cell will lose the water content and will come out. Will what? Basically close the stomatal pore. Okay, so here the stomatal pore closes. So what can I say? Is it because of atmospheric temperature that the stomatal pore closes? No. I agree that it does not want water. So I'll tell you one thing. There are multiple reasons why the stomatal pore opens and closes. Okay. For example, I am a plant. I am needing carbon dioxide. At this point of time, the stomatal pore opens. But okay, fine, carbon dioxide is not there, which is why it opened. But there are so many reactions happening here within the stomatal cells, which is why it opens up. And that reaction is happening specifically with guard cells. So you should be talking in response to this. I agree, the signal came from carbon dioxide. The signal might have come from carbon dioxide, that carbon dioxide is not there enough. There's a very stressful condition that is occurring inside the plant. It has to do photosynthesis. At this point of time, the guard cells has to get swollen by taking in too much amount of water. So there are so many reactions happening over here, which is why it takes in water. Ultimately, isn't it the water that is getting in and making it open and closed? So that is why we say that water content in the guard cell, if that is an option, you have to go with that. You do not have to go with any other thing. So atmospheric temperature might be a reason. Okay, carbon dioxide concentration around the stomata might be a reason. Oxygen concentration around the stomata might be a reason. But what is the most apt reason, children? Water content in the guard cells. This is the most apt region. Okay, you can get several cues for it. Okay, the signal could be many. As I said, carbon dioxide, or probably if there is too much water in there in the plant, it has to be removed out. That could also be a reason. So atmospheric temperature, if it's too hot and you want to regulate the temperature of the plant, it will release water, transpiration will happen, then evaporation will happen. This will regulate the temperature of temperature of the plant. Okay, so there are so many things that's acting as a signal, but ultimately it's the water in the guard cells which is going to do the job. Got it? So this is the answer. Next, in which of the following groups of organisms blood flows through the heart only once during one cycle of passage through the body? So it is said that in which group of organism blood flows through the heart only once. That means you are talking about single circulation. Single circulation. Okay, blood is moving only once through the heart. So it happens only in what? Single circulation is only seen in fishes, or you call them Pisces, my dear children. Over here they just have two chambers, one aorta and one atrium and one ventricle. One atrium and one ventricle they have. So basically in them what happens? In the gills, when the water flows around, okay, water that is carrying dissolved oxygen, it flows around, the gills will be taking in the oxygen from the water with the help of the blood vessels that are surrounding the gills. This blood will be taken to the different body parts, and hence oxygen will be provided to different body parts, and now the different body parts will be giving deoxygenated blood, which will be going here, then here, then here. Again, it is not coming back anyways. So your heart is receiving just one type of blood, which is known as deoxygenated blood throughout the entire cycle. So it's the fishes. Now you have to find the fish among them. In which all group you have fishes, just go for that. So rabbit, parrot, turtle. No. Rabbit is a mammal, parrot is a bird, turtle is a reptile. Okay. Frog, crocodile, pigeon. Again, no, you know. Whale, labio and penguin. No, children. No, penguin is a bird. Okay, labio is a fish, agree. But talking about whale is a mammal. Okay, shark, dogfish and stingray. This is the thing. In this category comes are all the fishes. So this is the thing. Okay, so they show single circulation. Okay, next thing. What is common between extensive network of blood vessels around the walls of alveoli and in the glomerulus of nephron? Okay, so basically, what is common between the vessels of alveoli? Suppose this is an alveoli. Okay, what is alveoli, children? Basically, we take in air. Okay, this goes to trachea, from trachea it breaks open into bronchi, then bronchioles, and at the end you have what? You have something that is known as alveoli. And then talking about nephron, in nephron you see a cup-like structure like this, which is known as Bowman's capsule. In Bowman's capsule also you find something like this, which is a network of blood vessels, which you call as glomerulus. So what is common over here and here? That is the question. So the thing that is common is, I'll tell you, the thing that is common in between the blood vessels, that is over here and here, is that both of them, they are, children, capillaries. Both of them are capillaries. Okay, they are small, tiny blood vessels which are over there, which would be helping in the exchange of things. Over here I want exchange of oxygen and carbon dioxide to take place. Over here I want exchange of small particles to get outside and get inside the kidney for filtration, and get inside the nephron for filtration. So here I am exchanging things, and here the tubules, if you see, very thin. There are very thin capillaries which are present over here. Okay, and it is going to each nephron, it is going to each alveoli, you will be having a bunch of capillaries, and capillaries are a group of blood vessels only. So in blood vessels you have three of them majorly, that is arteries, veins, and then you have capillaries, which are the thinnest blood vessels that you can find. So, what is common between extensive network of blood vessels around the walls of alveoli and in the glomerulus of nephron? Thick-walled arteries? No children. Thin-walled veins? No children. Thick-walled capillaries? Capillaries cannot be thick-walled. Capillaries, if you see, if this is a capillary, it is just one cell thick. There will be only one cellular layer over here. They do not have multiple cellular layers like this. There is no multiple cellular layer like this. There is only one cell thick wall. So, it is thin-walled, this is the answer. Thin-walled capillary is richly supplied with blood. Cool? Next question. Plants use completely different processes for excretion as compared to animals. Which one of the following process is not followed by plants for excretion? So, plants and animals excretion method is totally different, you know that, okay. Now, which one is not followed by the plants? That is the question. So, they can get rid of excess water by transpiration, yes. They get rid of excess water by transpiration, this is correct. They selectively filter toxic substances through their leaves. Does the plant do that? Can they say that I don't want ions, you can take it? No children, they do not selectively filter things. That is our job. We humans are complicated enough to do that. They do not do that. So, this is the answer, but let's go through the other options as well, okay. Waste products are stored as raisins and gums in old xylem, it's also true, okay. Waste products are stored like that and later being released in the plant's body, and we use that gums for our purposes also, okay. Now, they excrete waste substances into the soil around them, that is also true. So, this you studied in excretion in plants. These are all their methods or ways of excretion, but this is not. So, if you are not someone who went through the NCERT or probably heard the video that I made for you, then you are going to lose your 1 mark over here itself. Please be careful about this thing. Cool? Next. Carefully study the diagram of the human respiratory system with labels A, B, C and D. You see A, B, C and D. Okay. Select the option which gives correct identification and main function and or characters. Okay, fine. Trachea is there. So, trachea, it is supported by bony rings for conducting inspired air. Inspired air is in the air that we took in. So, is it supported by bony rings? These rings that you see over here, do you think they are bony? No children, they are cartilaginous. Cartilaginous. Okay. So, this is wrong. This thing that they have written is wrong. Now, ribs. When we breathe out, ribs are lifted. So, when we are breathing out, ribs are getting lifted as in when ribs will be only getting lifted when you need more space. So, when you breathe out, you don't need more space. When you breathe in, okay, when I am breathing in, see, that's when ribs are lifted. Okay, when we breathe out, ribs go back. So, basically this is also wrong. Alveoli, thin-walled sac-like structures for exchange of gases. C is alveoli and they are thin-walled sac-like structure, that is exchange for gases. Yes, we saw, because they are surrounded by thin blood capillaries. So, yes, it is correct answer. But let's talk about D option also. Let's see. Diaphragm, it is pulled up when we breathe in. When we breathe in, children, okay, when we are breathing in, we need more space. And if this guy is pulled up, we have less space. If this guy goes down, that's when we have more space. So, when we breathe in, we want more area over here. That's when it should be going down. It should be, this particular diaphragm that you see should be coming like this. Okay. Okay, do you get it? This is known as contraction of diaphragm. When this happens, you say that the diaphragm has contracted. When this happens, you say the diaphragm is relaxed. Okay, so whenever we relax, we also keep our back like this. Similarly, it also has a thing like this. Okay, so relaxation of diaphragm happens when we are basically breathing out. Okay, and contraction happens when we are breathing in. So when we are breathing, it's working. That's why it's contracting. So please remember that it's wrong. Question number 7 done. Let's go to the next question. Okay, the figure given below shows a schematic plan of blood circulation in humans with labels 1 to 4. Identify the correct label parts with its function. Okay, let's begin the battle. Pulmonary vein takes impure blood from the body part. It is mentioned that this is pulmonary vein, but it is mentioned that it takes impure blood from the body parts. No, children. It is taking things from the lungs. It will be taking the things from the lungs. That is what thing, children? Oxygenated blood. So, it is not impure blood. It is oxygenated blood that has been taken. So, this is wrong. Okay, it's not visible. Wait, this is wrong. Pulmonary artery. Okay, they're saying that this is pulmonary artery. Which is pulmonary artery? Bhai, it's wrong. Takes blood from lung to heart. Pulmonary artery takes blood from heart to the lung. Okay, so that is also again something that is wrong and also labeling now. See, aorta takes deoxygenated blood from heart to the body parts. Aorta does not, okay, please remember that aorta is not something that, and here the labeling also is wrong. Okay, the labeling also is somewhere wrong itself. It is not going to take deoxygenated blood from heart to the body parts. It is the one that takes oxygenated blood from the heart to the body parts, and the labeling also is wrong. So vena cava, okay, this they are saying that this is vena cava. Yes, it takes blood from the body parts to the right auricle. Yes, it takes blood from the body parts to the right auricle, specifically right atrium. It should not be auricle, it should be atrium, but okay. So this becomes the answer. Okay, this is not your aorta. Please remember this thing that you see over here. It is not the aorta. This should be the pulmonary artery and this should be the aorta that you see over here. So they have mismatched the thing. So this is altogether wrong itself. I hope you remember things. Okay, if you are someone who is forgetting things, then I am here to remind you. You have how many chambers, children? You have 4 chambers, which looks like this. Left atrium, right atrium, right ventricle, left ventricle. This is your lungs. From the lungs, you get oxygenated blood with the help of pulmonary vein. Okay, this goes here. From here, it goes to the body parts. Okay. And what type of blood is it? Oxygenated. Here also this is oxygenated blood. This side of the heart always carry oxygenated blood. And what is this artery? This is aorta. Here taking towards the heart, so it has to be a vein. Taking away from the heart, so it has to be an artery, that is aorta. From here, deoxygenated blood will be going back to the right atrium with the help of a vein, which is known as vena cava. And please remember, it is deoxygenated blood because your body got the oxygenated blood. Now it is returning back deoxygenated blood. From here it goes there. From here it will be going back to the lungs. And what is it? It is carrying away from the heart. So it has to be an artery. What artery? Since it is associated with lungs, it has to be pulmonary artery. And one more thing, it is deoxygenated blood itself. Okay? So please remember that. So over here, okay, fine, I agree that this one that is coming is pulmonary vein, but it is not taking impure blood. And over here, this one that carries things away, it is aorta. This is aorta. Okay. Now over here, the one that carries from the body parts to this part is known as vena cava, and the one that will be carrying blood from here back to the lungs is pulmonary artery. So that labeling was wrong. Okay. Next, assertion. Assertion reason question has come, so let's pay attention. Okay, assertion says herbivores have larger small intestine as compared to carnivores. Is it true or false? Herbivores have larger small intestine? Yes. Why do they have larger small intestine? Because you know they have plant-based food, and plant, basically if you see a plant cell, it has a layer outside which is known as cell wall, and their cell wall is made up of something that is known as cellulose. So you want to break down the cellulose. For that it takes a lot of time because it's a very hard substance that we are having. So yes, that is why they have a larger small intestine. So for complete digestion of this guy, you need a larger small intestine. So complete digestion of food takes place in small intestine. Yes, it is true. Assertion is true, reason is true. Is the reason explaining assertion? Yes, it is explaining. We want complete digestion of food, that is why they have largest small intestine. It would have been more correct if they had written that it had to do complete digestion of plant-based food, but it's okay. Okay, so we say assertion is true, reason is true, and the reason is explaining the assertion, which is why A becomes the correct option. A becomes the correct option. Cool? Next question. Human beings are truly aerobic. Are we truly aerobic? Are we always aerobic? Do we always do aerobic respiration? I told you in our body lactic acid is being produced. That's when we do anaerobic respiration also. So we are not truly aerobic. Okay, we are not truly aerobic. This statement again becomes false. Reason, they produce lactic acid from muscles. Yes, they definitely, we human beings definitely produce lactic acid in the muscles. That is true. But assertion is completely false. So we say assertion is false, but the reason is true. And none of them explains each other. Done? Down with the 10 questions, 1-marker questions. Okay, 2 of them were assertion and reason. I forgot to tell you. Now one more very important thing is that basically we have something that is known as Diksha Scholastic Aptitude Test, my dear children. So if you are someone who is very confused about what to do after 10, then here we are for you. Please go and fill the form which is given in the description box, where you will be getting an idea of a lot of things. Okay, there will be people who would be helping you out. For detailed view about this thing, I'll be telling to you at the end of the video. Okay? Was? No. Yes. So now let's start the short answer type question 2-marker. Okay? So I've written the answer already so that you know how you have to frame your answers as well. So patients whose gallbladder are removed are recommended to eat less oily food. Why? Why? For example, in my body I have removed my gallbladder and now I am recommended to eat less oily food. What is the reason? Because you know liver and you know gallbladder. I hope you know them. I hope and I wish you know them, but if you do not know them, it's totally fine. So this is your liver, and at the somewhere around the liver you have your gallbladder. So the liver guy, it makes something which is known as bile juice. But he says that, I am just releasing it, I won't be storing it. Who stores the bile juice, children? It is the gallbladder. So gallbladder will be stores the bile juice. Now bile juice is a very important thing, because bile juice has something which is known as bile salts. Okay, and bile salts are important for breaking down larger fat globules to smaller fat globules. What are we doing, children? We have large fat globules which we are breaking down to smaller fat globules. Okay, and why are we exactly doing that? Because basically the next guy to act on fat will be a pancreatic enzyme which is known as pancreatic lipase. Now you only think, when pancreatic lipase has to break down the fat, if it sees something like this, it will be very difficult for it to act on it very efficiently. But if I am already breaking things down and now it has to act on these smaller fat globules, it becomes very, very easy. So for making things easy for the pancreatic lipase, you are doing this. And what do you call this process as? You call this process as emulsification. Okay? What do you call this process? You call this process as emulsification. Now, if someone has some disorder with the gallbladder, it's not being stored, bile juice is not stored. If bile juice is not stored, I cannot expect this particular process to happen, that is emulsification to happen. So it will be a lot more difficult for my pancreatic lipase to break down fats really, really easily, which is why I am recommend that I should be having less oily food. That is the reason. Now, how can you frame the answer for this? Gallbladder stores bile, which helps in emulsification of lipids. You can say emulsification of lipids means what, children? Breakdown of large fat globules to what? To small ones. Now, in the absence of stored bile, emulsification of fat will be negligible and thus fat digestion will be slow. Hence, there are such diet restrictions, or you can write about pancreatic lipase enzyme also over here. You can say that pancreatic lipase would not be able to do its job properly, which is why the fats would not be broken down properly, which is why it is negligible and everything. Got it? Next question. What is the purpose of making urine in the human body? So, what is the purpose of making urine in the human body, children? Just because our body wants to do something, that's why is it making urine? No, our body wants to remove all the toxic substances, some unwanted things. For example, excess water, remove. We have urea, that is the nitrogenous waste. It stays in our body, it causes trouble. So we do not want that. Okay, so for that also we want to remove the metabolic nitrogenous waste, which is the ultimate aim. Actually, that is the most important point. Why we want to remove? Or for probably in our body certain ions are way too much. We do not need them, so we want to remove. Okay, so this is why there is a need or there is a purpose of making urine in our body. Now name the organs that stores and releases the urine. Ouch, just a second. Yes, so what are those? You have, I hope you remember that we all have kidney. Yes, and the kidney basically is connected to something that is known as urinary bladder over here, which will be storing, this is what? This is the urinary bladder which will be storing the urine. Okay, this is the guy that takes in the urine, that is ureter. Okay, whatever urine is being made in the kidney, it is being taking it to the urinary bladder with the help of ureter. Now at the end, the urine is being released with the help of urethra. Okay, so please, you have to name the organs. I hope you will do that. Kidney, this and this and this and this. Your answer should look like this. The purpose of making urine is to filter out harmful nitrogenous waste products such as urea or uric acid from the blood and remove from the body. But along with it, you have to write excess of water as well. Excess of water, salts, etc. Okay, works. Now the organs that store and release the urine are kidneys, a pair of ureters, a urinary bladder and a urethra. Cool. Next, why do arteries have thick and elastic walls whereas veins have valves? Why do you think arteries have thick and elastic walls, children? I told you arteries are the ones that will be carrying blood away from the heart. That is the role of artery. Now heart is pumping blood, so obviously it will be pumping blood with high pressure. So this guy, we should be having thick walls. This guy should be having thick walls and elastic walls also. If they are not elastic, if it's very thick, you are basically going to mess up with this structure. If it's very thick, it goes and hit, every time it goes and hit, it is breaking the structure over here. But if it's elastic, then it can go like this, there is no problem. You get it? And veins, why do you think they have valves? Why do you think they have valves? So basically veins are the ones that will be carrying the blood back to the heart. So over here arteries have someone to pump the blood. So pressure is high. But veins, they are carrying it back to the heart. There is no one to pump the blood. So what happens is that sometimes when the blood is going through the vein, the blood could come back, and to prevent that they have valves. Okay, so blood when it comes back, it does not come back totally. So to prevent the backflow of blood, they have valves. Okay, and also since they are the ones that is pumping the blood, they do not have anyone to pump the blood, they are under low pressure. What do you say? They are under low pressure, my dear children. Whereas when you talk about artery, they are under high pressure. So this is how you have to write the answer. Arteries are the vessels which carry blood away from the heart to various organs of the body. Since the blood emerges from the heart under high pressure, the arteries have thick elastic walls. Okay, so as to why do you have elastic walls? So that there is no damage as well. You have to mention that also. Whereas veins collect the blood differently from the organs of the body and carry it back to the heart. So they do not have thicker walls, as the blood they carry is no longer under pressure. Instead, they have valves that ensure that blood flows only in one direction. It is only unidirectional. It can prevent the backflow. Please use the term that is to prevent the backflow. Cool. Next, the leaves of a plant were covered with aluminium foil. This is a 3-mark question. Okay, leaves of a plant are covered with aluminium foil. How would it affect the physiology of the plant? Now suppose this is a leaf that I have. Okay, and I am covering it with an aluminium foil. So what are the problems that could be occurring over here? So aluminium foil is there, leaf is being covered. Do you think photosynthesis will be happening? Light has to fall on the leaf, right? So I don't expect photosynthesis to happen over here. So photosynthesis is affected definitely. Next thing, aluminium foil is there, the stomata which is there, which should be opening up for water to move out, for transpiration to occur. That won't be happening. So no transpiration. Can I write no transpiration? And also exchange of gases is not happening over here. So respiration is also not taking place. Respiration, which needs oxygen, that is also not taking place. Photosynthesis, which needs carbon dioxide, that is also not taking place. Photosynthesis, which needs light and carbon dioxide, both. both are not getting over here. So if no transpiration is there, water is not lost, that means there is no transpirational pull as well. So that means photosynthesis, water won't be, you need water, right? And that water won't be reaching other different parts of the plant for doing photosynthesis as well. If transpiration is not taking place, there are lots of trouble. And also if water is not getting lost, okay, you need evaporation to happen. That's when the plants cool down. So their temperature regulation is also disrupted. Temperature regulation is also disturbed because of all these reasons. You get it? So this is how they would affect the physiology of the plant. Now let's read the answer. No photosynthesis will occur, so no glucose will be made. Also no respiration will take place as no oxygen will be taken in. Two things, okay. No transpiration will occur, so there would be no upward movement of water or minerals from the soil as there will be no transpirational pull. Okay. Temperature regulation of leaf surface will be affected as well. These many problems are there. Will you be able to answer it? And whenever you answer, please remember, my dear children, please understand, underline the important thing. No photosynthesis, no respiration, no transpiration, no temperature regulation. Underline it. If you are not underlining, you are making a big mistake. No transpirational pull. Okay, because teachers know they get tired after checking a huge lot of papers. They will be like, okay, important terms. Is there? Okay, fine, I'll give marks. So do that. Underline. Show that you're confident about your answer. Okay, next question. Explain where and how is urine produced. Where, you know. Okay, kidneys. In the kidneys, how it is produced, you have different steps. If you remember the steps, it's well and good. If you don't, then I am here to help. So you have something that is like this, which is known as Bowman's capsule, and then you have something like this. I do not have much space over here, so I'm just making it like that. This is the collecting duct. Okay, and over here you're getting the efferent arteriole. So what happens? From the renal artery there is a branch coming which you call as efferent arteriole. This make a bunch of capillaries over here which you call as glomerulus. Okay, over here these capillaries are going to open back again into an arteriole which is known as efferent arteriole. E for exit, you can remember like that. So they are exiting this is why it is efferent. They are coming, so it is efferent. This thing that you see over here, it is known as Bowman's capsule. Bowman's capsule. This whole thing that you see is a tubule. So one that is close to this is known as proximal, and since it is very curved, okay, it is curvy, so we say convoluted. It is proximal convoluted tubule. This loop that you see, you call it Henle's loop or loop of Henle. Then this is also convoluted, but this is at distance, so you call it distal convoluted tubule or DCT, convoluted tubule. And this thing that you finally see is a what? Collecting duct. So what happens is that your renal artery is branching off to different arteriole. One such arteriole is this. Okay, so it is bringing too much amount of blood in high pressure. When it brings in high pressure and reaches up over here, what happens in the glomerulus is that the small things which can easily move out will be moving out over here, and the large particles stays there. So what are large particles? Basically the blood cells. It stays there. Okay, but bigger proteins stays there, but small amino acids comes down, glucose comes down, ions comes down, urea comes down. So all this thing, water comes down, rest of the things goes to the efferent arteriole. And what happens to the efferent arteriole? They will be forming a network of capillaries around the nephron. Around the nephron, you just imagine that there are blood capillaries around. Okay, so first step that you see over here, it is known as glomerular filtration, because here glomerulus is getting filtered. So you call it, first step is glomerular filtration. Just try to understand, okay, written format I have already given, I will show you. Where over here, what all are coming out, children? Ions, water, urea, glucose, amino acids, all of them will be moving out. They moved out. Now they are where, children? Now they are over here. Now they are over here. Over here, the blood capillaries which will be surrounding, no, they will be like, because the pressure we gave all these things, actually we need few of them back. We need few of them back because our body is needing it. So the blood capillaries which are surrounding it basically take certain important things back selectively, and this is known as second step, which is known as selective. Is it visible? Yes, it is known as selective reabsorption. Selectively things are getting reabsorbed, my dear children. What all things are getting reabsorbed? Ions, water, glucose, amino acid, but not urea. So urea also little amount is reabsorbed, but the rest of the amount is still being there. Urea is still being there because it's a waste and we have to remove it. Now what happens? This waste is getting carried over here, and by this point of time, no, the blood capillaries which are running around, they will be realizing that in our body certain ions are in way too much amount. We don't want them. We don't want these ions. Can I give it back to you again? Can I give it back to you? I just took because I thought it was less, but now it is way too much. Can I give it back? So the nephron says, yes, you can give it back. And this is known as tubular secretion, where you are giving back things. First, basically you gave, then you took back again, then you are again giving certain very unimportant things which you want to remove from your body. This is the third thing, which is known as tubular secretion. Even though tubules are not the one secreting, you call this process as tubular secretion. Okay, and at last, whatever unimportant things are there, it goes to the collecting duct, and from there to the ureter, and then it goes outside our body. Got it? So you have three very important steps. If possible, draw the diagram of the nephron and explain to them. Okay, this is how the answer is written. Glomerular filtration: nitrogenous waste, glucose, water, amino acids filter from the blood into the Bowman's capsule of the nephron. Second thing, tubular reabsorption: useful substances from the filtrate. Okay, the things that came out, what do you call them? You call them filtrate. So useful substances from the filtrate are reabsorbed back by capillaries surrounding the nephron. Secretion, that is tubular secretion: urea, extra water and salts are secreted in the tubule, which open into the collecting duct and then into the ureter. Done. I hope you understood the answer, and now you could frame it as well. Please underline the important things that you have over here, because if you are not going to underline, things are going to get messy. Okay, next, there is a case study based question that I have for you. Okay, but before doing the case study based question, I will be doing the answer question. Chalo, let's do this long answer type question. Identify any two parts from the above diagram which carries oxygenated and deoxygenated blood. So two parts we have to. So you know, I hope you know that this is what? This is your left side of the heart. Okay, this will be your atrium, left atrium. This will be your left ventricle. So I am writing left atrium, left ventricle. This thing, from here you get a blood vessel, from here you get a blood vessel. Basically both of them, they are what? Your pulmonary vein. Pulmonary vein gives the oxygenated blood over here and it goes over here. From the left ventricle, things will be moving out with the help of what? Aorta. So aorta is not here in the downside. Please remember, it goes like up like this. So this thing that you see over here, this portion that you see over here, this is the aorta. Okay, so D becomes the aorta. So I'm writing over here, this is aorta. Okay, now listen to me, this and this is the vena cava coming around and opening into what? This side will be your right atrium and this will be your right ventricle. So this guy which brings in blood over here, which will be known as the vena cava. Okay, then one has to take the blood back to the lungs, which is the C. What is this, children? Pulmonary artery. Got it? So which one is carrying two parts that can carry oxygenated blood? Can you tell me? So oxygenated blood, it is carried by B, F, D. Whatever you want to write, you can write B, F, D. Some people take F to be left atrium, some people take F to be the pulmonary vein. Either one is the same thing. Okay, so identify two parts. You have to tell the two parts with the name also if possible. So B is what? Left what? Ventricle. F, you are confused, you write F is equals to what? Your left atrium, or it can be the pulmonary vein, but write the exact answer. D is what? D is the aorta. You just have to write two parts. You can write the two parts, either of them. Okay, now deoxygenated blood. Again, deoxygenated blood by, this is A, this can be your E, or vena cava can be your E, or C can be pulmonary artery, either way. So you have A, you have E, and you have C. Where A, you know, it is right ventricle. Okay, E is what? E can be either right atrium or it can be vena cava. Okay, and this can be your pulmonary artery. So you have to write like that. Cool. So instead of writing like this, write B and then left ventricle. Like that you write answer. Now explain the process of double circulation with the help of a flow chart. They are not asking you to explain it by writing, they are asking you to explain it by flow chart. So how will you explain? You can explain like this. So I have taken the snip from the book. Okay, so you see double circulation, blood has to move twice. So from the lungs, pulmonary vein is carrying oxygenated blood to the left atrium. From the left atrium, it will be going to the left ventricle. From the left ventricle, the main artery aorta will be taking oxygenated blood to the body organs. Then again this blood is going to come back. First time it came, next time it is coming, that is deoxygenated blood is coming, it goes back to the lungs. So here if you see, it has moved twice. Please mention that there are two valves over here. For example, you wrote V1, V2 here. So you have to write V1 is what? V1 is bicuspid valve. V2 is what? V2 is tricuspid valve. So name of the valves are important. Please write it. Okay. Over here also you can mention valves V3 and V4 and then explain this is aortic valve. This one is pulmonary valve. So this is how you have to explain the flow chart. Okay, sorry, double circulation in the form of a flow chart. Write it below that basically over here the blood is moving twice through the heart. Okay, once it is oxygenated type of blood, the other one is deoxygenated type of blood that is taking place over here, that is moving around here. Okay, this is how we have to explain the answer. Cool. So write in points. For example, this is the answer, so write answer 1A, this is the answer, then answer 2, this is the answer. Write it properly in a neat way. Cool. Now the last question that I have for the day is this case study based question which I want you to read. Okay. And before that, I want you to see this picture. So here they have written duration of dive. So someone is diving, you know that. Here concentration of lactic acid in the blood. Concentration of lactic acid in the blood. It is seen that here it is less, then it is increasing. So whenever lactic acid is increasing, what's the reason? Probably initially aerobic respiration was taking place and then anaerobic respiration probably might have took place, which is why it is increasing. When anaerobic respiration takes place, that's when lactic acid is being produced. So if you know this, it's really good. Now you start reading. A Weddell seal, a deep sea diving mammal, has special adaptation that enable it to respire for long periods underwater without inhaling air. Okay, 3 such adaptations are given below. P. When diving, the blood flow to all parts of the body is reduced by 80 to 95% except for the circuit between lungs, heart and the brain. So basically almost 80 to 95% of the blood flow is being reduced, except where this is on. Okay, to lungs it goes, to heart it goes, and to the brain it goes. This is one adaptation. Second adaptation, 70% of the oxygen in the seal's body is stored in the blood as compared to just 51% in the human. So in our case, in the case of human beings, we are storing 51% of oxygen in our blood. Okay, rest is there in the muscles. So basically over here, 70% of oxygen is there stored in the blood, unlike us. That is the second adaptation that they are having. Next thing, 25% of oxygen in the seal's body is stored in its muscle. Only 25% is stored in the muscle, in myoglobin, as compared to just 5% in the humans. Okay. we just have 5%, but they have 25% of the oxygen in the muscles. Now, in 1980, a group of scientists carried out an experiment to understand how a Weddell seal respire underwater during dives of different duration. After each dive completed by the seal, they measured the concentration of lactic acid in the seal's blood. The graph below represents the data obtained by the scientists. This is the data. So, 20 minutes they were there where they were doing aerobic respiration. Later, after that, they were doing anaerobic respiration. Based on the graph, what can be inferred about the change in the respiration happening in the seal's body after 20 minutes underwater? So, what can be seen, children? What can be seen? Basically, within 20 minutes, in the initial 20 minutes, they were doing what? Aerobic respiration. After 20 minutes, they have switched to what? Anaerobic mode of respiration. That is something that you can see. Okay. Second thing, justify your answer. How can you justify the answer? Basically, I am able to see that anaerobic respiration is going on because the amount or the concentration of lactic acid has been increasing post the 20 minutes, which is why I say that this is why anaerobic respiration is happening. Okay. Cool. This is how I can justify. I'll show you the answer later on. Okay, this is the answer for the first thing. Next thing, adaptation R, this one, helps the seal the most to produce energy for swimming during the first 20 minutes of a dive. Adaptation R, where we are saying that 25% of oxygen in the seal's body is stored in the muscle. So that is something that will help the seal to produce more amount of energy during the swimming during the first 20 minutes of a dive. Explain why adaptation P and Q do not help as much. Why do you think P and Q is not much helpful? Because first thing, over here you're talking about the blood flow to the lungs, heart and things like that, or you're saying that it's there in the blood. You're not mentioning about muscles, and when you are talking about swimming, there you need oxygen. There you need aerobic respiration. Okay, so at that point of time, you need oxygen in the muscles, my dear children, and this adaptation is not focusing on that. Only this one is focusing on that. Okay, so swimming as an act which needs more amount of energy, you need aerobic respiration to happen. Okay, and this oxygen should be stored in the muscles, or probably in the muscles lactic acid will be producing, shifting to anaerobic mode of respiration, which is not at all favorable. That is the thing. Okay, and why Q is also not that much, the same answer that I have already told you. Let's read the answer. Most of the energy needed for swimming is produced by the muscles. So that should be there. Since most of the blood is not as useful for swimming as the oxygen stored in the muscle, so this adaptation is not very much useful, because here you are saying that 70% of the oxygen in the seal's body is stored in the blood. Now this is of no use, because I want the oxygen stored in the muscles. You get it? Which is why it is written that since most of the blood is not as useful for swimming as the oxygen stored in the muscles. So this is why P and Q are not really suitable, whereas when you compare with R, which is the most suitable form. And the reason for this, based on the graph, what can be inferred about the change in the respiration happening in the seal's body after 20 minutes underwater? Respiration is mostly aerobic in the first 20 minutes and mostly anaerobic after 20 minutes. How can you justify it? Lactic acid is produced, product of anaerobic respiration, and the sharp rise in lactic acid concentration is seen after 20 minutes. Okay, that's how you can justify the answer. This is a case study based question. If you are not aware about anaerobic respiration, you are not aware about lactic acid being produced during anaerobic respiration, you won't be able to answer it, which is why we want, attention to details. So the thing that I said about my timings, I have actually got wrong, but you imagine how if I included more questions, what would have been the scenario. But at least I was able to explain you everything really deep, and I matter that the most. So I hope you understood it. Please forgive me for taking up your time, just for you, just for your help. Okay, and I hope that I was helpful for you, right? And I hope that this particular chapter is really understood by you guys. You don't have to worry about each and any other topic that I taught you. Okay, now one more thing about Diksha Scholastic Aptitude Test. So children, do not be confused anymore about your future. You can take the 60-minute concept based lecture that is provided by us, and then we will be having an aptitude test based on your marks. You will be having a one-on-one counseling, and they would be telling you what stream would be choosing the best for you. And if you are in this confusion, then definitely you should be seeing to the link that is given in the description box. Click on that and you will be guided to a page where you have to fill the informations. Okay, works? And if you think that the video that I made today was useful for you, irrespective of the time that I spend over here, I'm so sorry, then please definitely do not forget to subscribe to the channel. And if you liked my teaching, definitely do not forget to tell it to me as well. in the comments. So that's all, and if you have any doubts, definitely tell me that also. That's very much important. Your exams are near. I'm here to solve your doubts. Yeah. So works. Bye bye. Take care.